Hi, good morning. What you just seen was the morning work session on this beautiful Sunday, January 5th, which means that I have 2 days until the deadline. Apologies for the atrocious lighting. Winter has arrived in Hungary, so we don't have any more nice sunlight, so you will have to deal with, well, whatever going on here with the shadows. But yeah, so I figured that for this last episode of the paper in 6 weeks series, I'm gonna extend it until the deadline, and then I'm just gonna do these little check-ins over the next a bit more than 48 hours to kind of walk you through the process. So last week I talked about kind of like the fun of editing text with Vim. That's still going amazingly well, by the way. I'm getting so much faster as I'm really putting in the reps. And last week really was about editing, but this week I actually had to write up the rest of my stuff. Since everyone in our lab is working for the same deadline, Saturday, Saturday was just a normal work day for us, and I reached everyone on Teams like that, which is a bit funny and a bit cruel from Academy of Management for moving the deadline this close to the holidays. But hey, we made it work. So we had a bit of a hiccup with regards to my regression and kind of how to interpret some coefficients. That was a long call. But that done, what was left to do is to actually do the write-up of the results and the intro results discussion. And the results, the results section is fairly straightforward, except that one interpretation issue with my regression. Because you just report hey, here is what you see in the little regression table, and here is, it confirms our hypothesis, and you don't discuss it and you don't kind of explain it away. It's just oh yeah, that's just what happens. The results was pretty painless, but then with the intro and the discussion, I was struggling so hard. I think especially the discussion, it just feels very difficult to kind of connect everything back to literature. And a piece of that is that I indeed kind of try to whip up the best theoretical framing for this as I could in the time I had, which means that I don't yet have that, deep intuitive understanding of the literature, which would make that much, much easier. My other supervisor, she also did a pass through my intro, abstract intro results discussion yesterday, and then she left some amazing comments. So she's an angel for that, because she's still on holiday, but took an hour to go through all my manuscript. So now, thankfully, I am back in editing mode, and I don't have to kind of struggle with the writing mode. But this is something I will have to work on for the future, to really make sure that I practice and I get better in kind of turning all of these ideas and this a kind of outline in my head into fluid text. It's just something I will have to practice more, because it just feels too hard now. Yeah, in other news, yesterday was rough. I got to the point in the paper writing where I kind of lost faith in everything. Which, if I can heed the advice from the elders, it means that I'm close to the end of the paper process. This just approaches with every paper. When you spend so much time looking at it that you only see the flaws and kind of how imperfect everything is. Oh, this construct, it's a forced argument. It doesn't really connect. And oh, is this context good for measuring this? Is this measure actually doing what I want? It's rough. And for me, what makes it especially worse is that kind of I extrapolate this current unhappiness to my entire career. And then I'm just okay, but this context that I'm researching actually doesn't fit anywhere, and what am I doing here? And it just turns into this big existential dread, and that's not great. But thankfully, my family picked up on it, and my family and my amazing girlfriend, they just decided that, hey, I'm taking the evening off. So I finished work at 6 p.m. yesterday, after starting early morning, and then we just watched some silly movie with skiing and shooting in it. And then that just ripped me out of this kind of research existential crisis. Now we are back to the edit. So I will get back to doing all my little comments, and I will talk to you later. As you can tell, from my hoodie being different, some time have passed. It is now, 3 p.m. today, so that means that I've been working for a while. I was just reading through the comments from my supervisors. I think I'm basically done. I am still wrangling with the discussion like really hard. Everything else in the paper is now in like reasonably its final shape. All the comments incorporated and like it looks nice and I'm quite happy with it, except the discussion section. For some reason, that's just really, really difficult for me to put together now. So what we're gonna do now is to take a break and then revisit it. So it's the next day, if you can tell by the beautiful changed lighting. I might have spoken a bit too soon yesterday about, oh, it's basically done. After we went through it, I myself went through it once more, adding more stuff, and then both my supervisors did the last pass, and then they both had a handful of comments to kind of like incorporate. And that was basically the activity for today, like going through, like absolutely making sure that everything is airtight. There are still a few things that we already know that when we are gonna go for a journal submission with this, we will have to like tighten up that argument or figure that measure out a bit. But for now, we are nearing the end. There are still a few things that I need to straighten out. All in all, we are almost there. It's 3:21 p.m. Technically I have until midnight, but I really, really don't want to stay until midnight. So we will try to straighten this out and submit it. And then the paper in 6 weeks journey is done. Okay, so it is now 7:20 in the evening, and I just got the final green light from my supervisor. One of them already signed off on it 2 hours ago, and then we just had to straighten out some terminology and like make sure that we're using everything right. And it's the final green light. So we are about to submit, finally. I can't believe it. My file has been converted to a PDF from a PDF.
Nice.
All right. This looks good. It is the moment of truth. We are done. Unbelievable. But we are done. Long journey. Now I'm just very happy to be done with this. And I will probably review this whole experience of paper in 6 weeks after I had some time to process this whole experience. For now, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.